Another primitive settlement neutralized. Supreme Commander reported Lieutenant Cracks with what humans would describe as a smirk if they could interpret Vazraxian facial expressions, which they couldn't. Dead, because most of them were dead. Supreme Commander Morvan Vaz swiveled his ocular stalks toward the tactical display, watching as another red dot disappeared from the surface of the blue planet. The third planet in this unremarkable solar system, designated only as Sol 3 by Vazraxian star charts, continued to rotate peacefully, completely unaware that its dominant species was being methodically erased from existence. Excellent, Vaz gurgled through his speech membrane. Any resistance? None worth mentioning, sir, Cracks replied, his tentacles dancing over the control panel. The usual primitive projectile weapons, a few crude explosive devices, nothing that could penetrate our shield technology. Vaz exhaled a cloud of satisfaction pheromones. How many settlements remain on this continent? 17 major population centers and approximately 300 minor settlements, Cracks answered promptly. At our current pace, we should complete continental pacification within 7 rotations. Good. The High Council grows impatient. They expected this world to be fully assimilated by now. Lieutenant Cracks vibrated his speech membrane in what translated to a snort. The High Council sits comfortably on Vazraxia Prime drinking fermented plant secretions while we do the actual work. Their expectations are unrealistic. Watch your tone, Lieutenant, Vaz warned, though privately he agreed. The humans have proven surprisingly resilient for such a technologically backward species. Resilient? Sir, with respect, they are barely more advanced than glorified animals. Their most sophisticated weapon is nuclear fission. They haven't even mastered basic interplanetary travel. Has rotated his body to fully face his subordinate. Tell that to Commander Zarn and the crew of the Devastator. Crax's skin paled slightly, shifting from its normal purple to a muted lavender. The Devastator had been one of their most formidable warships, equipped with the latest in Vazraxian military technology. It had been destroyed 3 orbital cycles ago, its wreckage scattered across the northern hemisphere of the planet. That was an anomaly, sir. A statistical improbability. Was it? And what about the outpost on their lunar satellite? Or our forward base in their Arctic region? Were those anomalies too? Cracks had no response. Never underestimate an enemy fighting for survival, Lieutenant. It's the first rule of galactic conquest. Vaz turned back to the tactical display. And now, which settlement is next? Cracks quickly changed the subject. A small village in the region they call Norway, population approximately 500. No military presence detected. Proceed with the standard bombardment protocol. Yes, Supreme Commander. As Cracks transmitted the orders to the weapons control deck, Vaz contemplated the peculiar blue world spinning below them. The Vazraxian Empire had conquered 17 inhabited planets over the last 3 centuries, assimilating or eliminating countless species. None had given them this much trouble. The High Council had expected Earth to fall within days of the initial invasion. Now, nearly a full orbital cycle later, they were still methodically clearing the planet, 1 settlement at a time. Bombardment of target commencing in 3, 2, 1. Vaz watched dispassionately as brilliant streaks of plasma rained down from their ship, striking the Norwegian village with pinpoint accuracy. Tiny structures crumbled into dust. Primitive ground vehicles melted into slag. Insignificant lifeforms were vaporized instantly. Target neutralized, Supreme Commander. Excellent. Dispatch drones to confirm no survivors and scan for usable resources. But yes, sir? Deploying drones now. Vaz was about to return to his quarters when an alert sounded from the security station. Sir. Called out Security Officer Trex. We have an unauthorized entry in Hangar Bay 4. Vaz spun around. Impossible. Our security systems are impenetrable. Nevertheless, sir, sensors detect an unidentified life form in the hangar. It appears to be human. For the first time in his long military career, Supreme Commander Morvan Vaz felt something akin to fear slither down his dorsal ridge. Lock down the entire level. Deploy security teams immediately. And Lieutenant Cracks? Yes, Supreme Commander? Send a priority message to the fleet. Tell them he hesitated. Tell them we may have a situation. Security Officer Drav didn't believe in ghosts. The very concept was absurd, a remnant of primitive superstition that no evolved species should entertain. But as he led his squad through the dimly lit corridors of Deck 7, their weapons drawn and senses alert, he couldn't shake the uncomfortable feeling that they were hunting something unnatural. Spread out, he ordered his team of 4, standard search pattern. Remember, the target is a human female. They are fragile compared to us, but dangerous when cornered. How did a human even get aboard, sir? Asked Trooper Velex, the youngest and most inexperienced of his team. That's what we are going to find out right before we kill it, Drav replied. The security team moved cautiously through the corridor, checking each chamber and maintenance tunnel. Their specialized armor, designed to withstand everything from human ballistic weapons to their own plasma technology, made them nearly invulnerable. At least, that's what Drav kept telling himself. Sir, I'm picking up an unusual energy signature, reported Trooper Malk, studying her scanner. 2 chambers ahead, on the right. Drav signaled the team to halt. What kind of energy? Unknown, sir. It's not matching any patterns in our database. That was concerning. The Vazraxian military database contained information on virtually every known weapon technology in the explored galaxy. Approach with caution. Non-lethal restraints if possible. The Science Division will want to study this specimen. The team advanced slowly toward the chamber, their weapons charged and ready. The door was partially open, a thin strip of light spilling into the corridor. Drav positioned his troops on either side of the entrance, then gave the signal. Trooper Velex deployed a mirror drone, a small hovering device that could safely peer around corners. The drone's feed appeared on their helmet displays, showing the interior of the chamber. It was a standard storage room filled with supply containers and equipment. Nothing seemed out of place. No visual on the target, Velex reported. The energy signature is definitely coming from in there, insisted Malk. And it's growing stronger. Drav made a decision. We go in on my mark. 3, 2, 1, execute. But the team burst into the chamber, weapons sweeping across the space in practiced motions. The room appeared empty. Clear left. Clear right. Center clear. Rear clear. Drav frowned behind his helmet. Malk, check your scanner again. Trooper Malk consulted her device, confusion evident in her posture. Sir, it says the energy source is right here in the center of the room. That's when they heard it. A soft, rhythmic sound that Drav couldn't immediately identify. It took him a moment to realize it was laughter. A human laughter. Hello, boys, came a voice from seemingly nowhere. Looking for me? The air in the center of the room shimmered, and suddenly she was there. A human female, small by Vazraxian standards, but somehow filling the room with her presence. She wore some kind of adaptive camouflage suit that had rendered her completely invisible until now. But it wasn't her sudden appearance that caused Drav's blood to freeze in his veins. It was her eyes, cold, calculating, utterly devoid of fear and filled with something he recognized immediately, the look of a predator that had successfully lured its prey into a trap. Open fire. Drav shouted, but it was already too late. The human female moved with impossible speed, dodging plasma bolts that should have vaporized her instantly. She flung small objects toward each member of the security team, objects that attached to their armor and began to glow with an ominous blue light. Explosive devices. Drav warned, frantically trying to remove the object stuck to his chest plate. Or fall back. The human stopped at the doorway, her hand hovering over a small device on her wrist. You bombed my village, she said, her voice eerily calm. Everyone I ever loved. Gone in an instant. Do you know what that feels like? Drav didn't waste time responding. He raised his weapon and fired directly at her head. She ducked with inhuman reflexes, the plasma bolt missing her by millimeters and scorching the wall behind her. "I will take that as a no," she said. "But you are about to find out." She pressed a button on her wrist device, and the world exploded into pain and darkness. "Supreme Commander, we have lost contact with Security Team Alpha." Vaz slammed his appendage against the control panel. "What do you mean lost contact? 4 elite troops against a single human? The entire section has gone dark, sir. Life support, communications, everything." "That's impossible," Vaz muttered, but he was beginning to question his understanding of that word. "What about the security cameras?" "All offline in that section. Last transmission showed the team entering storage chamber 712B, but send 2 more security teams and activate the hunter drones." Lieutenant Cracks approached cautiously. "Sir, if I may, perhaps we should consider evacuating the command staff, just until the situation is contained." Vaz fixed him with all 4 ocular stalks. "Are you suggesting we run from a single human, Lieutenant?" "Not run, sir. Strategic repositioning. If this human somehow managed to board our ship undetected and neutralize an entire security team, she may be more dangerous than we anticipated." Before Vaz could respond, another alarm blared across the command deck. "Engineering reports a breach in the antimatter containment systems," shouted the communications officer. "Sabotage is suspected." Vaz felt his internal organs constrict. The antimatter containment system was the heart of the ship's power grid. If it failed completely. "How long until critical failure?" he demanded. "Alone, sir. Engineering teams are attempting to stabilize the system, but they report unusual complications." "What kind of complications?" "The sabotage appears to involve technology they have never encountered before. They can't determine how to counteract it." Vaz made a quick decision. "Begin emergency evacuation procedures. Transfer all essential personnel to the auxiliary command ship. Lieutenant Cracks, you will coordinate the evacuation. And you, Supreme Commander?" Vaz straightened to his full height, his pride overriding his survival instinct. "I will remain aboard until all personnel have been evacuated. Sir, with respect." "With respect. That is an order, Lieutenant. Now go." As Cracks hurried away to organize the evacuation, Vaz turned to the tactical display. Somehow he knew the human was watching him, perhaps through the ship's own security systems. "Who are you?" he whispered, not expecting an answer. To his shock, the main communication screen flickered to life, showing the face of the human female. Her appearance was unremarkable by human standards, what the species would consider a young adult female with short, dark hair and pale skin. But her eyes, Vaz had interrogated enough humans to recognize the difference between fear and fury. This one's eyes burned with the latter. "My name is Anna Larson," she said, her voice coming through the ship's communication system with perfect clarity. "You probably don't remember me. Why would you? I'm just one of millions you have tried to exterminate." Vaz maintained his composure. "How did you get aboard my ship, human?" "Your ship?" She laughed, but there was no humor in it. "No, Commander Vaz. This is my ship now." "Whatever you hope to accomplish, you will fail," Vaz said. "Even if you destroy this vessel, the Vazraxian fleet will continue the pacification of your planet." "Pacification." Anna's expression hardened. "Is that what you call it? Murdering innocent people? Destroying homes, families, entire communities?" "It is the natural order of the galaxy," Vaz replied. "The strong consume the weak. Your species would have done the same had you developed interstellar travel first. Maybe, maybe not. We will never know, will we?" She leaned closer to the camera. "But here's what I do know. 3 weeks ago, your ships appeared over my village in Norway. We had no defenses, no military presence, just families living their lives, and you turned it all to ash. Collateral damage in the greater campaign," Vaz said dismissively. "Collateral damage," Anna repeated, her voice dangerously soft. "My parents, my little brother, my friends, my entire world. Collateral damage. For the first time, Vaz noticed something in the background behind her, a complex array of devices connected to what appeared to be the ship's main navigation computer. "What have you done?" he demanded, sudden alarm overtaking his arrogance. Anna smiled, and it was a terrifying expression. "I have made a few modifications to your ship's navigation system. Specifically, I have locked in new coordinates for your antimatter core detonation." Vaz felt his blood run cold. "What coordinates?" "Vazraxia Prime. Your homeworld. Specifically, the headquarters of your High Council." Her smile widened. "You bombed my village. I'm bombing your planet." "Impossible," Vaz sputtered. "The containment field will never." "The containment field is already failing," Anna interrupted. "And your ship is already in hyperspace, heading straight for Vazraxia Prime at maximum velocity. Check your instruments if you don't believe me." Vaz turned to the navigation display with growing horror. She was right. Somehow, the ship had entered hyperspace without anyone on the command deck noticing. And their destination was indeed Vazraxia Prime, less than 30 minutes away at their current speed. "You will die too," Vaz pointed out, desperately trying to find a flaw in her plan. "I was dead the moment your bombs fell on my home," Anna replied calmly. "I'm just taking you with me." The screen went black, leaving Supreme Commander Morvan Vaz staring at his own reflection, seeing fear in his eyes for the first time in his life. The evacuation alarm continued to wail throughout the ship, but Vaz knew it was too late. There would be no escape. Not for him, not for his crew, and perhaps not for his entire civilization. The human had outmaneuvered them all. Fleet Admiral Tyron Vax, Supreme Military Commander of the Vazraxian Empire, was enjoying a rare moment of tranquility in his private garden when his personal communicator chirped with the priority alert tone. He extended a reluctant tentacle to activate the device, irritation rippling through his chromatophores. "This had better be important," he gurgled, watching as the holographic display materialized before him. The face of High Counselor Zerna appeared, her usually composed features contorted with what could only be described as panic. "Admiral Vax, we have an emergency situation of the highest order." Vax suppressed a sigh. The High Council considered everything an emergency of the highest order. Mass cycle, it was a shortage of luxury minerals from the Andromeda sector. Before that, civil unrest on one of their minor colony worlds. "What seems to be the problem, Counselor?" "One of our warships has gone rogue. The Annihilator has entered the Vazraxia system at maximum velocity with its antimatter containment system compromised." That got Vax's attention. He straightened all four of his spinal ridges. "Possible. Supreme Commander Vaz is one of our most decorated officers. He would never." "It's not Vaz," Zerna interrupted, her speech membrane vibrating with distress. "At least we don't think it is. We received a transmission from a human." "A human?" Vax repeated, certain he had misheard. "On board the Annihilator?" "Yes, she claims to have sabotaged the ship and set it on a collision course with the capital. Our analysts project catastrophic damage if the antimatter core detonates within our atmosphere." Vax's tactical mind immediately began calculating possibilities. "How long until the Annihilator reaches Vazraxia Prime?" "Less than 20 time units. Our planetary defense grid is activating, but the Annihilator's identification codes are still valid. The automated systems recognize it as a friendly vessel. Override the recognition protocols," Vax ordered. "Manually target the ship with all available planetary defenses." "We are trying, but someone is broadcasting counter-commands using Admiral-level authorization codes. The defense grid is in conflict." Vax felt a cold dread settle over him. Admiral-level codes? That would mean. Where is the transmission coming from? Who is sending these counter-commands? Zerna's coloration paled to a sickly gray. "That's just it, Admiral. They are coming from your office. From your personal terminal." Anna Larson sat cross-legged on the floor of the Annihilator's main engineering section, surrounded by a chaotic array of human and Vazraxian technology. Her fingers danced across multiple interfaces, some physical, some holographic, all responding to her commands with fluid precision. I have to say, she mused aloud to the empty room, for a supposedly superior species, your cybersecurity is remarkably primitive. Of course, no one answered. She'd made sure of that. The engineering crew had been the first to go after she infiltrated the ship. Not killed. Anna wasn't a murderer, despite what the aliens might think. Just incapacitated. The paralytic agent she'd developed specifically for Vazraxian physiology would keep them helplessly aware for the next 12 hours. More than enough time. Her wrist computer pinged with an alert. Well, look at that. They are finally trying to activate the planetary defense grid. She allowed herself a small smile. Too little, too late, I'm afraid. With a few deft keystrokes, she activated the subroutine she'd prepared. Admiral Vax's stolen authorization codes began flooding the Vazraxian defense network, creating just enough confusion to ensure the Annihilator's unimpeded progress toward the planet. A security door slid open behind her. Anna didn't bother turning around. I was wondering when you'd find me, Lieutenant Cracks. The Vazraxian officer stood in the doorway, plasma rifle aimed at her back. How did you know it was me? Process of elimination. Most of your crew evacuated in the first 10 minutes. The rest are either paralyzed or locked in sections of the ship I have isolated. You were the only wild card. Now she turned, regarding him with clinical interest. Staying behind to protect your precious commander? That's almost admirable. Step away from the controls, Cracks ordered, his weapon humming with lethal energy. Anna made no move to comply. Or what? You will shoot me? Go ahead. The ship's already locked on course. Antimatter containment is already failing. Nothing can stop what's coming. Why? Cracks demanded, his voice modulator struggling to convey the complexity of his emotions. Why would you sacrifice your life just to strike at us? You can't possibly believe this will end the war. End the war? Anna repeated, genuine surprise in her voice. Is that what you think this is about? What else? Anna stood slowly, careful not to make any threatening movements, not that it mattered. In approximately 15 minutes, they would both be atomic particles scattered across the Vazraxian atmosphere. Lieutenant, I don't care about your war. I don't care about humanity's survival as a species. Do you know what I was before you came to my world? A quantum physicist. A researcher. I spent my days trying to understand the fundamental nature of reality. I wasn't a soldier. I had no interest in conflict. Then why? Because you took everything from me, she said simply. My family, my home, my future. You didn't even know who I was, and you destroyed my entire existence without a second thought. This isn't about winning a war. This is about consequences. Cracks's weapon wavered slightly. We were following orders. Your settlement was targeted for resource extraction. It was nothing personal. Anna laughed, a harsh sound devoid of humor. Nothing personal. That's the problem with you Vazraxians. You have conquered so many worlds, killed so many beings, that it's become routine. Impersonal. Just numbers on a tactical display. She took a step toward him, ignoring the weapon. But destruction should be personal, Lieutenant. Death should have meaning. That's what I'm giving you today. A very personal apocalypse. The ship's internal communication system suddenly activated, Supreme Commander Vaz's voice filling the engineering section. Attention, unknown human infiltrator. This is Supreme Commander Morvan Vaz. I wish to negotiate. Anna raised an eyebrow at Cracks. Negotiate? That's new. I wouldn't have pegged your commander as the negotiating type. She pressed a button on the nearest console. This is Anna. I'm listening, Commander, but make it quick. We are about 12 minutes from planetary impact. I am prepared to offer you anything you desire in exchange for control of this vessel, Vaz's voice replied, the alien equivalent of desperation evident in his tone. Wealth. Technology. The safety of specific human settlements of your choosing. Tempting, Anna replied, though her tone suggested otherwise. But I already have what I want. Your ship, your antimatter core, and very soon your planet. You cannot truly want this, Vaz insisted. The death of billions for the sake of a few hundred humans? Even by your species' moral standards, this is genocide. Anna's expression hardened. Interesting how genocide becomes a moral concern only when it's happening to you. She cut the communication and turned back to Cracks. Your commander is getting desperate. Not a good look for the supreme military leader of a supposedly superior species. Cracks lowered his weapon slightly. You have made your point, human. You have proven we underestimated your kind. But this is madness. Our homeworld has billions of civilians, hatchlings, beings who have never participated in any military action against Earth. Just like my village, Anna replied softly. We were scientists, teachers, children, farmers, and yet your plasma rained down on us all the same. A proximity alert sounded throughout the ship. They had entered Vazraxia Prime's upper atmosphere. The view screen automatically activated, showing the alien world growing larger by the second. It was beautiful in its way, swirling purple oceans, landmasses covered in structures that gleamed like living crystal, cloud formations that pulsed with bioluminescent energy. 10 minutes to impact, announced the ship's automated system. In the capital city of Vazraxia Prime, panic had given way to chaos. The High Council's emergency broadcast had triggered a mass exodus from the metropolitan center, clogging every transit system and evacuation route. Ordinary citizens who had never known true danger suddenly found themselves facing extinction, and the veneer of civilized behavior was rapidly deteriorating. High Councilor Zerna stood on the observation platform of the council tower, watching the tiny dot in the sky grow steadily larger. The Annihilator was now visible to the naked eye, a dark speck against the golden clouds of sunset. We need to evacuate now, Councilor, urged her security chief. The last transport is waiting. What's the point? Zerna asked, a strange calm settling over her. The blast radius will encompass half the continent. There's nowhere to go. We can try the deep bunkers beneath the ancient temple. They were designed to withstand. Nothing was designed to withstand an antimatter core detonation at ground zero, Zerna interrupted. We built weapons too powerful for our own safety. Poetic, isn't it? To be destroyed by our own creation. The security chief's communication device buzzed. He listened briefly, then turned to Zerna with renewed urgency. Counselor, Admiral Vax is requesting your immediate presence at Defense Command. He says there may be a way to stop this. Back on the Annihilator, Anna watched Lieutenant Cracks carefully. The Vazraxian officer had lowered his weapon completely and now stood staring at the view screen, watching his homeworld approach. It's not too late, he said finally. Look, you could still abort the collision course. Actually, it is too late, Anna replied matter-of-factly. I disabled the navigation override protocols 20 minutes ago. There's no stopping the ship now. Then we are all going to die. Yes. Yes. Cracks turned to face her fully. And you accept this? Your life ends here, along with your entire species' chance for vengeance? My life ended 3 weeks ago in Norway, Anna said. This is just tying up loose ends. A new alert sounded different from the previous warnings. Anna frowned and turned to check one of her makeshift monitoring devices. Well, this is unexpected. Your Admiral Vax is quite resourceful. What's happening? Cracks asked, moving closer to see the display. They are activating some kind of experimental defense system. Energy readings are off the charts. She studied the data, professional curiosity momentarily overriding her mission. It's fascinating. It appears to be a targeted quantum field generator. They are trying to create a localized pocket of altered space-time directly in our path. The Kronos project, Cracks breathed. It was theoretical, a way to freeze objects in time. They said it would never work. Desperation breeds innovation, Anna noted dryly. But it won't help them. The antimatter containment field is already collapsing. Even if they freeze the ship, the reaction will eventually break through. Another proximity alert sounded. 5 minutes to impact. In the heart of Vazraxia Prime's defense command, Admiral Vax stood surrounded by the Empire's most brilliant scientific minds, all working frantically to bring the experimental Chronos system online. Status report. He barked, his patience evaporating with each passing second. The quantum field generators are at 70% capacity, Admiral reported the lead scientist. We need at least 90% for a stable temporal pocket. How long? 3 minutes, maybe 4. Vax slammed his tentacle against the console. We don't have 4 minutes. The annihilator will impact in less than 5. We are pushing the system beyond all safety parameters, the scientist protested. Any faster and the generators could implode, taking half the defense grid with them. High Counselor Zerna entered the command center, flanked by her security detail. Admiral Vax. Is it true? Can you stop the human? Perhaps, Vax replied grimly. But we are running out of time. On the main view screen, the annihilator was now clearly visible, its massive form cutting through the clouds as it descended toward the capital city. Streams of smaller vessels fled in all directions, like insects scattering before a predator. 80% capacity, announced the scientist. 85-90. We have minimum viable field strength. Target the annihilator and activate the Chronos field, Vax ordered. The scientist hesitated. Admiral, the field hasn't been tested on an object of this size. The consequences are unpredictable. More unpredictable than an antimatter explosion in our capital? Do it now. The scientist nodded and pressed the activation sequence. On the view screen, a shimmering distortion appeared in the air directly in the annihilator's path. Chronos field active, reported the scientist. Impact in 10 seconds. The entire command center fell silent as they watched the warship hurtle toward the invisible barrier of warped spacetime. Aboard the annihilator, Anna and Lieutenant Krax witnessed the strange distortion forming ahead of them. It appears your admiral is going to try his luck after all, Anna observed. Interesting. I didn't think the Vazraxians had progressed this far in quantum manipulation. We are full of surprises, Krax replied, as, apparently, are humans. Anna smiled faintly. The great equalizer between species never reveal all your capabilities. The ship's AI announced, unusual space-time anomaly detected ahead. Impact in 3, 2, 1. The annihilator struck the Chronos field at full velocity. A fraction of a second, nothing seemed to happen. Then reality itself appeared to fracture around them. Anna felt a strange sensation, as if her body was simultaneously stretching and compressing. The lights flickered, then stabilized. The view screen showed a bizarre image. Half the ship appeared frozen in midair, while the other half continued its descent toward the planet's surface. What's happening? Krax demanded, his speech membrane vibrating with alarm. The field is partially successful, Anna analyzed, checking her instruments. It's created a temporal fissure. Part of the ship exists in normal space-time, part in a frozen pocket of altered time. Can they stop us? Anna studied the readings, then looked up with an expression of grudging respect. Clever, very clever. They have managed to freeze the antimatter core in a state of temporal stasis. As long as the field holds, the containment breach is essentially paused. So they have stopped your attack? Temporarily, Anna conceded. But the Chronos field is wildly unstable. Look at these energy fluctuations. It can't possibly maintain integrity for more than a few hours. Krax moved to the view screen, watching as smaller Vazraxian vessels approached the partially frozen annihilator. They will board us. Try to secure the core, neutralize you. They can try, Anna said, turning back to her makeshift control panel. But I still have one last card to play. She activated a sequence that caused multiple sections of the ship to light up on the tactical display. Krax recognized the pattern immediately. Secondary explosive devices? Throughout the ship? Insurance policy, Anna explained. Conventional explosives, not antimatter, but strategically placed to destabilize the Chronos field if triggered. Cracks stared at her. You really did think of everything. I had 3 weeks to plan after your bombs fell. 3 weeks of digging through rubble with my bare hands, looking for survivors. 3 weeks of studying your technology from the debris of your scout ships. 3 weeks of nothing but grief and rage and calculation. The communication system activated again, this time with a new voice. This is Fleet Admiral Tyron Vax of the Vazraxian Defense Force. To the human aboard the Annihilator, you have been neutralized. Surrender now and I will consider leniency. Anna laughed and activated the response channel. Admiral Vax. Congratulations on your partial success. The Chronos field is an impressive achievement. Your attempt to destroy our world has failed, Vax replied. Our boarding teams will reach you in moments. Perhaps, Anna acknowledged. But before they arrive, I think we should discuss terms. There was a pause. Terms? Yes, Admiral. I believe your people call it negotiation. Anna's voice took on a harder edge. Your Chronos field won't hold forever. My finger is currently hovering over a trigger that will detonate enough conventional explosives to destabilize the field immediately. So, shall we talk like civilized beings? Another pause, longer this time. What do you want? The complete and immediate withdrawal of all Vazraxian forces from Earth. A non-aggression pact guaranteeing Earth's safety for the next 1,000 years, and reparations for the damage you have caused. Preposterous. Vax sputtered. You are in no position to make demands. Anna's finger moved closer to the detonator. I think I'm in exactly the right position, Admiral. Your entire civilization is still just one button press away from extinction. Lieutenant Cracks stepped forward. Admiral Vax, this is Lieutenant Cracks. I recommend accepting the humans' terms. Lieutenant, you are alive. Is Supreme Commander Vaz? The commander is secure but incapacitated, Cracks interrupted. Admiral, I have witnessed this human's capabilities firsthand. She infiltrated our most advanced warship, neutralized our security, and very nearly succeeded in destroying our homeworld. And she did it alone. One human cannot. With respect, Admiral Cracks continued, imagine what 1,000 humans like her could do. Or 1,000,000. This isn't a battle we can win through conventional means. Silence filled the communication channel. Anna watched Cracks with newfound curiosity. Why are you helping me? She asked quietly. Cracks's chromatophores shifted in what might have been the Vazraxian equivalent of a shrug. Self-preservation. And perhaps recognition of a worthy adversary. Admiral Vax's voice returned, subdued now. The High Council will need to approve any formal agreement. But I am authorized to order an immediate ceasefire and withdrawal of our forces from Earth space. Good start, Anna replied. As a show of good faith, I will deactivate the secondary explosives. The antimatter core remains frozen in your Chronos field, giving us time to formalize our agreement. She pressed a sequence on her control panel, and the explosive triggers went dark. See? I can be reasonable. We will send a diplomatic vessel to Earth within the cycle, Vax said stiffly, to discuss the terms of our withdrawal. I look forward to it, Anna replied. Oh, and Admiral, next time you consider invading a planet, I suggest doing more thorough research on its inhabitants. She cut the communication and turned to find Cracks watching her intently. You never intended to destroy our world, he said. Not a question, but a realization. Anna raised an eyebrow. Didn't I? The secondary explosives. If your goal was truly annihilation, you would have detonated them the moment the Chronos field activated. You wouldn't have given us time to evacuate the capital or attempt negotiations. She neither confirmed nor denied his assertion, instead turning to look at the view screen where Vazraxia Prime hung suspended, beautiful and temporarily reprieved. Your people bombed my village, she said softly. And I brought a bomb to your homeworld. The difference is, I gave you a choice. Lieutenant Cracks moved to stand beside her, both of them watching as the boarding vessels drew closer. "What happens now?" he asked. Anna Larson, the sole survivor of a Norwegian village that no longer existed, who had brought an interstellar empire to its knees through sheer will and brilliance, allowed herself the faintest smile. "Peace happens, Lieutenant. Whether your people like it or not.